Hey guys, what is up? So today we are going to be doing a cinnamon bun recipe from my culinary class, and I haven't been baking for a while because I've been quarantining because I had COVID-19 unfortunately. So we're going to start out fresh and we're going to make some awesome cinnamon buns. So here is the recipe.
Alright, now let's get started with this cinnamon roll recipe. So here's the list of ingredients and instructions, and pause if you need. So I'm going to make a little bit of an adjustment right here. I'm going to use my own icing recipe. You can use whatever you want, and here's the filling recipe. Now let's get started. So first off, you want to measure out half a cup of milk, and you want to also measure out close to a quarter cup of milk, but I did 3 tablespoons first, so we don't make the dough too wet first. So just measure out your milk first, just like so, and just heat it up to around 110 degrees. And if you're using active dry yeast, then just go ahead and bloom your yeast. But if you're using rapid rise, you can just put it in your flour like me. So go ahead and heat up your milk, and here's our milk. Alright, so here's our milk. It has to be between 100 and 110 degrees in order for the yeast to work properly. So just make sure it's around that range, and we are going to measure out our dry ingredients. So first off, we're going to measure off 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. So make sure you get 3 1-cups and level it off like so. And you might want to also heat up your milk after you're done measuring out your dry ingredients, because it will cool down. So just go ahead and make sure you evenly level off each cup, and make sure you get that half cup. Just get your half a cup now, and let's measure out some salt now. So we are going to measure out 1 teaspoon of salt. So just take a heaping scoop, and we are going to also level this off as well. Now we got our cinnamon. So I got mine from Costco, and we are going to measure out 1 teaspoon of cinnamon like so. Just add it right into the dough. And we are going to measure out a quarter cup of granulated sugar and a quarter cup of light brown sugar as well. And make sure you pack in your brown sugar just like so. Not too hard, just a gentle tap. And make sure you level that off as well with a palette knife. Just add in like so, and get a whisk, and make sure all your ingredients are mixed thoroughly. And now we are going to add in some rapid rise yeast, and I'm going to measure out 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. Just mix it in like so. And we are going to also measure out 1 teaspoon of vanilla right into the milk, and just give it a good stir. Now we are going to combine all of our ingredients. So just go ahead and put it in your KitchenAid and turn it at speed 2, and we are going to pour in our milk right now. Right after, we're going to add in 1 egg at room temperature. As the dough mixes, you can tell if you need to add more milk or not. The dough should be kind of tacky, but now we are going to cut 6 tablespoons of butter into like small size pieces so we can add it in our dough. So just go ahead and cut it by tablespoons, and we're going to add it into our dough in a second. And you want to also let your mixture run for around 5 minutes until all the ingredients are combined thoroughly. And as you can tell, it's not combining properly, so I'm just adding in a little bit more milk, just a little bit at a time. You want to make sure you don't add too much liquid. So as you can see, it's combining together right now, and I'm just going to start adding in my butter. So you want to let this run for around 3 minutes until all your butter is combined thoroughly. It may take longer depending on your situation, so just give it some time. As you can tell, my dough is coming together pretty nicely, and I'm just gonna take it by hand now. So on a floured surface, just go ahead and give it a little knead for around 5 minutes until it is a smooth ball. So just knead it like so, and make sure all the butter is combined right evenly, and it should be good. And if it gets a little bit too sticky, just add a little bit more flour. You don't want to add too much at a time, and just knead it for 5 minutes. After you're done kneading your dough, now we're going to let the dough proof. So just go ahead in a large metal bowl or any type of bowl, spray it with some Pam and on top of the dough as well, and just cover it up with some saran wrap. Now I got a little proofer machine in my toaster oven, so I'm gonna set it at 80 degrees and we're gonna proof the dough for 2 hours. Alright, now let's make the cinnamon roll filling. So just go ahead and measure out 2 tablespoons of sugar and 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. And also we are going to get 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and you want to make sure you thoroughly mix that. After that, when your 2 hours is done, just go ahead and roll out your dough on a flour surface. So just make sure you roll your dough in a large rectangle and make sure the size is consistent, because when we roll it, we want to make sure all of our cinnamon rolls come out around the same size. And just go ahead and roll it horizontally first, like so, and you want to make sure it is a 1/4 inch throughout the dough when you roll it. So just make sure you evenly roll it and distribute the dough. After your dough is nice and flat like that, we are going to spread it with 4 tablespoons of butter. So here I got 4 tablespoons of room temperature butter, and we're just going to spread it thoroughly on the dough. If it is too warm, just let it like warm up on top of a stove, or just microwave it for a couple seconds. Just go ahead and use a palette knife and just spread it out evenly. After you're done spreading your butter, just go ahead and sprinkle your cinnamon sugar just around. And make sure it is evenly coated, because we don't want some pieces more sugary than the other, or more filling than the other. So now we are gonna roll up our cinnamon roll. So just make sure you roll it up pretty tight so it does not come apart when we put it in our tray. So just go ahead and start from the middle and then work outwards and make sure it is a tight roll. Now we are just gonna gently tuck it in and make sure you seal it properly. So I tried using wire first, and I think mine was too thick. So I'm just gonna use a knife and just cut it like so. So just go ahead and also get a pan, and we're just gonna put our cinnamon rolls in it. So I'm using a knife and I'm just gently I'm cutting it like so, making sure not to squish it as much, and it came out pretty nice. So just go ahead and repeat that for the same process, and mine fit 9 rolls in it. But if you have a couple extra from the log, just go ahead and bake it in a small bowl or something. Like, I'll show you later. Alright, so as you can see, I have 1 extra piece, so I'm just gonna bake it in a small bowl that's safe in the oven. And now we are also gonna proof our cinnamon rolls. So just go ahead and spray a light layer of Pam on top and just cover it with some saran wrap. Now we're just gonna throw it in a warm spot or a proofer like me for 80 degrees at 2 hours. Just go ahead and cover it up. And now our 2 hours is done, and look how much proofed these cinnamon rolls look, and they look beautiful. They filled up all the gaps in the tray, and look how nice they look. So now we are going to bake it at 350 degrees for 26 minutes. So now just put it in like so, and make sure you rotate it halfway throughout the cooking process. And look how beautiful these cinnamon rolls look. And if they're looking a little too brown at 9 minutes, just go ahead and put tinfoil on top and continue the baking process. Now we're going to make our icing for our cinnamon rolls. So just go ahead and melt 1 tablespoon of butter. And once it is melted, we are going to measure out some confectioner or powdered sugar. So I'm just going to measure out 1 cup of powdered sugar. And just make sure you sift it, because there's large clumps in the sugar usually. here is my melted butter, and we're just gonna scoop it right in, and I'm gonna measure out 2 tablespoons of milk, and we are also gonna add in about 1 teaspoon of vanilla, or a couple drops. Now just give it a nice whisk, and look at how nice this icing or glaze is. You want to just make sure you mix it enough where you don't see that much clumps in it. So now our cinnamon rolls is done. We're just going to remove it, let it cool down for around 10 minutes, and we're going to apply our glaze next. So now we got our cinnamon rolls. Look how beautiful they are. And I got 2 on my plate, and we're just going to drizzle some glaze on it now. Look how nice our cinnamon rolls look. Our cinnamon bun is done, and look how beautiful it is. Let's give it a taste test. Very good. We got a nice crunchy outside, but inside is nice and soft. Cinnamon flavor is here. And glaze is nice. I'm using a fork because I don't like to get my hands all messy. Look at how nice this is. Definitely 8 out of 10. The dough is nice and chewy. It's not too dense. It's not too dry. Oh yeah. The butter, we spread it on the dough before. It definitely keeps it nice and moist. Definitely, overall, really good. Well, that is it, guys. Please be sure to subscribe and drop a like. Yeah, look how amazing this is.